Welcome back to the Six Rings Kane Show. Joined today by always a pleasure to have Vish on the show. He's just definitely the guy that people like to listen to more than anybody else on this show anyway. So we might as well bring him on more. And then joined by my special guest and old school friend without remembering that we were old school friends here, Mike McCoy. What's going on, Big Mike? How you doing, man?
Appreciate you guys having me on, man. I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. Glad to be on the show. Talk some Canes, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And by the way, everybody, Mike has a Mike has a birthday on Saturday, so this could either be a really good birthday or a really shitty birthday
Yeah, pretty
for
much.
Mike Saturday. But hopefully we'll at least get the W. We'll pull an LSU, get a W, fire the coach anyways, right?
Sounds
So
good, man.
that's what we're I don't want to say what we're hoping, but hey, it is what it is. Anyways, let's kind of talk a little bit about. We'll go back real quick to last weekend's game, last Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. The game that we almost pulled off something amazing or incredible, as Manny Diaz likes to say. Another come from behind win against, quite frankly, a poor North Carolina team, right? It just goes to show that I mean, this is not. We're just not a good football team right now, and so there's a lot of things, a lot of questions going around, a lot of a lot of rumors, a lot of not only rumor, but a lot of real talk, right? As we
Right.
like to say, a lot of real talk that's going on also. So, but without getting too far into that right now, I kind of want to get your take a little bit on what you guys saw from the team on Saturday against North Carolina. Mike, we'll start with you. I mean, kind of give me your thoughts and gauge what this team, what the team is going through right now, and how they again once again struggled, although they put points on the board. What you saw out of this game on Saturday.
I mean, and once again, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's hard to gauge because it feels like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde every week. Like you don't know what you're gonna get, and kind of do know what you're gonna get. Slow starts, figure it out at the halftime, and then it's a whole different ball game at the half. That's good and frustrating to see at the same time because okay, they're making the adjustments, but it's just too little, too late. And so, a tale of two halves is just why can't adjustments be made a little sooner? That was what I found frustrating. The fight, was obvious, awesome to see, and that over the last few games, man, I've been getting like emotionally unattached because it's just very what's the word? I've been numb to it, but this one hurt. This one kind of hurt seeing them fight back and the young guys TVD, you know, balled out in my opinion. And so I mean, it sucks that they lost to UNC again, okay, at their place again, because like you said, they're not good. FSU beat them. And at this point, I don't care if we lose the rest of this the way, as long as they beat FSU, because that's just like wow. But I honestly don't even know what to expect this week, man. But last week it was literally a tale of two halves. And the offense looked all right. The defense is, I hate to say this, but they're so close. It seems like they're closer. A lot. If they would just tackle, man, like they're in the right places. It seems like a lot of the times, not even a lot of the times, but a good amount of the times, and they have trouble bringing guys down. I don't get it. Those rubber circles that they tackled in practice is not getting the job done. Okay, and so I mean that's the main issue right there, man. They put up the points. I don't think that's going to be an issue this week as much as it was, in the first half last week. It's just I don't have a good explanation as to why. It's just a gut. I think that they kind of figured out what they can do. First start on the road for a freshman quarterback, and then he's coming home where he's comfortable. And a night game, I have a feeling they're going to be hyped.
Yeah, Vish, I know that you kind of felt the same way, that you liked their fight. You liked their fight during the whole game. I mean, obviously more in the second half. Uh, Another slow start by TVD, but he started to figure it out. You can see he's got the talent, right? He's got the arm strength. He's a lot more mobile than I think people gave him credit for, as we saw again for the second game in a row. He's able to escape the pocket. I saw him move in the pocket real well when he got rushed a few times up the middle. He was able to kind of move side to side, elude some of the rushes, and still look down the field. So I like to see that from him. There's obviously a lot of work to be done there. He can still get a lot better, but even him being, Mike, you just said it, like he played a really good game, and he threw 3 interceptions, and we're like, wait a second, but he still played a really good game. There's a couple stupid throws, right? Like that one
Yeah.
that one pick that he threw the ball 147 miles an hour, and it was a 4-yard throw, right? So obviously that, those are the kind of things that he needs to work on. However, Vish, and I know I'm kind of I wanted to get your take, but however, you still saw the progression, you saw the improvement, you saw what he can do, and quite frankly, what he can do with a lot of young guys around.
Yeah, and I think at this point in his career, he's more of a playmaker than one of those consistent. I mean, that'll come with time. He misses easy throws, but then he makes plays that are like, wow, this kid's got potential. You mentioned he's not known to be fast, but his strategic ability to make plays with his legs, he's a gamer. Like he makes plays. That's why we keep getting into it. We don't play necessarily well. I think right on the head, hit the nail right on the head. Like it was 2 halves. We actually, I hate to use this word, but first time this week we actually played well was the second half. Like we dominated them in the second half.
Yeah.
And as bad as they dominated us in the first half. So, but I think the reason we're keeping those games is he's battling. He threw, like you mentioned, that 4-yard pass, 500 miles an hour. I think 180 might have underestimated it. It gets knocked up in the air and intercepted. But I'm also wondering if we need to adjust the offense a little. Like, I'd like to take – he's got a big arm. I'd like to take more shots with him. He's got a better arm than King does. Like, I don't know that the underneath short throws, which worked really well with King when you have that run thread as a constant basis, and kind of the linebackers can't get their drops in, so you have that space there. I don't know if that space is there, and I also don't think Van Dyke's accurate enough in that intermediate area to just – he's going to hit like 95% of those, which is what you want with those passes, because you're just trying to get like 5-6 yards, maybe break a tackle and get more. But like that if you're going to play that game, you got to be really efficient. He's not really that guy, but I think he's more – I think we should be taking more shots, throwing down the field more, because he's got the arm to do it, and he makes plays, and I think that would help. The other thing is, I mean, the tackling. Like I don't know what to do with that, because even the second half, the defense played a lot better.
But they
were a lot more.
They were a lot
more. They were a lot more in position. But then you let Sam Howell, who's not a runner, just run over them twice. Like those 2 touchdowns were pathetic. And so I don't know how that gets better. This is another kind of bye week situation where we came out of a bye week, it looked like we hadn't practiced in 2 weeks. So I don't know. It's hard to say where this team is right now. Obviously they're 2-4, so that tells you something right there. But I will say the second half was the best they've played all year, and hopefully they can carry forward. I will say North Carolina's defense is top 15 in the country, so it's not going to be as easy. With that said, they haven't really played a good offense yet. We're actually the highest rated offense they've played, even despite being 2-4. So we might be able to move the ball, but they are definitely a better defense than what we played last week.
Well, and I kind of want to touch on this real quick, because you both mentioned, his ability to push the ball down the field, right? TVD, obviously we're talking about TVD. Here's the thing. Here's what I like about that. I think that helps more the running game than anything else. And the reason why I say that is because now the defense has to, kind of take a step back and say, all right, we've got to cover the whole field now, right? We don't have to cover first of all, we don't have to cover this intermediate short pass, because that's not his thing, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to make these guys, the linebackers are going to, take a few steps back. The corners are going to play a little, whatever it is, right? However the defenses are playing, you guys know defense is better than I do. However, I think it's going to open up the opportunity for the run game to kind of get going again. And Vish, I'm never have been a huge Cam Harris fan, right? So obviously, prayers out to him. He's going to miss the season. I get it. He got hurt, and that sucks. You never want to see that, because whether I'm a fan of his or not, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. So, but for me, I think this plays right into the hands of a guy like Jalen Knighton. Okay, his ability to make people miss, as we saw last week. Whether it was a pass or a run, he's shiftier. Okay, he's got a little more burst. Okay, Cam Harris, once he gets going, he's pretty fast. I got to give it to him. But Jalen Knight can get going a little quicker than he can.
Right.
Okay, I think he sees the field a little bit better. His vision's a little bit better. And then you're going to probably see the thumpers a little more this weekend. Also, you're going to see Cody Brown. Hopefully, you see Thad Franklin. And I think it's going to open up the run game a little bit because they're going to have to worry about him throwing the ball down the field a little bit more. Maybe not the deep route, Vish, although we want to see him get that deep route because I think he has nice touch on those deep routes. But, the 15 to 20-yard routes that he can get, on these crosses or these in routes or whatever it is, the post corners and all that stuff, I think you're going to see them do that a little bit more with TVD.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, the offensive line played a little bit better this week, right? You saw a couple of things that happened where it was really Knighton, Rooster, who missed the blitz up the middle, right? He completely whiffed. But you saw that, hey, they didn't look too bad, man. So if they can put it all together for 4 quarters, then yeah, I mean, I think they have an opportunity. This might be the best team that they have played all year, aside from Alabama. Okay, I just think it's a complete team. They've got a great quarterback. They've got decent running backs. Their linebackers are some of the top linebackers in the country. Their defensive line is solid. So, and like you said, Vish, this is a good defense. I know they haven't played many. Even they played Clemson, and Clemson sucks right at this point. So you can't really gauge them by that, but I still think it's a solid defense. So all around, I think this is the best team that Miami's going to play. But at the same time, I kind of feel like they're starting to get things going in the right direction on the offensive side of the ball, and we're so close, but yet so far away on defense also because we can't tackle, and that's because they don't practice aggressively. They don't practice hitting each other. I know because I've seen it, right? Obviously, I've been at practice. They don't do it. They don't do it. So then you get guys in there, and listen, I criticize them, but at the same time, I also gave them props. James Williams is the best player on that defense right now. Okay, and whether Jock wants to say that he's not ready or he is ready or he's going to play in the box, I think he's going to be a better player in the box than he is at safety. But right now, he might be the best safety we have as well. The only thing is he can't get into the habit of trying to knock people out and trying to make a huge play like he tried to do the other day because I get it, he's 6'5", 220, but man, this is college football, baby, and everybody else is tough and strong too. And Sam Howell is not a small guy, so you got to wrap up. And I mean, that's what I'll say about that.
I mean, the whole tackling thing needed. I mean, you can't work it not mid-season all of a sudden be like, we're going to become a good tackling team. That's the extra reps you're doing.
But you can put players out there that want to hit people and tackle people, like Keyshawn Washington,
when it's the whole,
like Deandre Smith. Now that
when
he's
it's
back,
the whole team though, when it's the whole team, like these kids didn't forget how to tackle. They've been playing football. This is the team culture, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like it's not like all of a sudden they showed up here and they took the little Men in Black thing and erased their memory, right? This is because like you mentioned, this is college football. Everyone practices hard, right? People think you just work hard. No, everyone's working hard. You don't get to that level. You can take the worst FBS team. You don't get to that level without working your butt off. These kids are all working. So that's not enough. You got to drill it from day one to the end of the time because you're already so far behind at this point. Trying to fix tackling. It's one thing if it happens in the first game and you're like, look, we worked on this all offseason. You guys blew it. We're 6 games in. This team's not going to be a good tackling team. And even there was on one of those Howell touchdowns, we had him squared up. It was Williams, I think. Yeah. And he turns sideways and throws the shoulder, and I'm like, just wrap him up. That was an easy tackle. What are you doing? And I don't know how you get to that point because I guarantee you in high school he wasn't doing that. He was putting the guy on his butt. He was wrapping up and tackling. So I don't know what happened in the offseason, but I can't. At this point,
the only thing I can think of that he was trying to do is create a big play, right? Is create a turnover or something, knock him out, and get the ball loose. That's the only thing I can think of.
I could see that if he was slapping at the ball.
Right.
You're not gonna force a fumble with your shoulder like that. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. But it's
not
the first. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, my bad. No, go ahead.
Go for it. You're
Sorry. I'm saying he probably. I mean, now that you say that, I'm thinking, well, maybe he was getting away with that in high school, which is probably why he thought he could knock Howell down. I'm 6'5", 220. I'm a 5-star. I love the kid. I have slandered him 0 times. There's no way. Like you said, Jazz, he's probably one of the best players on that defense. Speaking of safeties, is Tate coming? Is he playing this week?
Yeah, he's playing this week. Manny Diaz said he's going to play this week. Yeah,
I haven't even seen the depth chart, so I didn't want to get upset.
But at the same time, Packy also said that Avery Huff has all the goods to be a hell of a linebacker, but we're not going to play him. Anyways, that's for another. Yeah. I'm sorry. I had to.
I get it, man. I get it. That guy, like you said, has all the tools, and at this point, if it's still a playbook thing, I don't even care anymore. Like I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like
No,
right now,
he's got to
we're
know some plays, right? He's got to know some plays.
exactly.
So put him in for those plays that he knows, and
Thank
I
you.
guarantee you he's going to execute.
Thank you.
That's
It
it.
just sucks that my two favorite linebackers, in which not only they're my favorite because I think they're the two best.
Right.
Brooks and Huff, you just we're not seeing them anymore or at all. Those two guys,
Apparently,
I think, are the
Brooks is another one that's going to play this week. We'll see.
yeah.
Well, look, that brings me to my next question because I want to hear from both of you because I heard this last night and I'm sure Mike, you heard it a little bit on the Flow on Maxed Out show with Max and Flo and all them. They were talking about this, and I think it's an interesting topic of conversation to have. Is at this point we're 6 games in, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to see some of the younger guys play. We're starting to see Leonard Taylor, and I'll start off on the defensive side. Obviously, the safeties Cam and James Williams and some of the other guys. We're obviously it looks like Marcus Clark is actually going to be one of the starting corners this weekend, which is nice. I think he's a good player. So this is a question I have for both of you because they asked this question over there, and I'm interested to hear what you all think should be the starting 11 on defense now going into this game against NC State. And we'll start with you, Mike. What do you think?
Vish, take it away. Actually, man, go ahead.
Vish, he wants to hear what you're gonna say first. All right.
You want me to go through all 11 positions?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm gonna screw it up so bad. You're gonna be like, you left this person.
That's perfect. That's what we want.
Let me go this way. I don't need to see Gervin Hall.
Okay.
I wouldn't care if Bolden plays or not. Frankly, like I've had it with him. So I'm fine with both the safety. I'm fine with Kitchens. Okay, I'll go there. Kitchens and Williams should be starting the safety at this point because you can say all you want about not knowing the playbook. The guys that are out there are out of position on every play anyway. They're running themselves out of tackle. Like so, I'm good there. I could do without McLeod playing. To be honest, I've kind of had enough there. I know they said this is his natural position. He's made like 3 tackles all year. I think I've seen enough there. And you guys already called out the linebackers. Like I don't know why we're going with the linebacker pair we're going with, but they're slow. Like they're noticeably slow. I'm wondering if Flag might be better with his hand on the ground as a DN because like in space he doesn't have the speed. And you can see that they don't close. And meanwhile, Brooks and Huff, I mean, they haven't played as much certainly as we'd like. They seem to cover ground, and I think that's one of our problems. Like when players get into space, we're not gang tackling. Like we miss a lot of tackles, but it's always one guy. It's not like we're swarming to the ball. Like I never thought I'd see a Miami defense as slow, but I feel like we're not fast enough. So I definitely like the linebackers switched out, put some speed on the field, even if we play a little smaller. Maybe keep Bolden in there and move, like you said, Williams up into the box. That's kind of I know I didn't go through every position, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Definitely, like Stevenson needs to stay in there. Like he's playing really well. I really like him. I like Couch. I actually like us 2 starting corners. I think they're fine. But yeah, I hit most of the positions at least.
Okay, but I mean, most importantly, the middle. I mean, who do you want to see in the middle?
I think I've had it with Nesta.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have.
I mean, I think he flashes every once in a while. I just need more consistency if he's going to start. Otherwise, I'd put him in there on like 3rd downs or something. If he's only going to show up every 3 plays anyway.
Mike, what do you think?
Damn. I'll start on the line. So, in no particular order, I'll start with the ends. Jafari, Harvey, and not just off of the play that he made last week. Dude is probably the best end on the team, in my opinion. Most talented, physically talented guy. I like him a lot. You got to start Chance on the other side. I like him as well. And maybe rotate, Elijah Roberts in and out between playing defensive tackle and end. Defensive tackle and end, because you got to have him in there. I think that guy has a really, really bright future. And so in the middle, I actually like Nesta, because yes, when he's missing tackles when he's in the backfield, but he's in the backfield, in my opinion, when almost every time I look up, he's wreaking havoc. Whether he's missing a guy or whatever, he's applying some type of pressure, moving a quarterback off his spot. You need that. So I like him as I'll name 3 defensive tackles, and I mean 2 of them I don't know where they start, but the 3 are LT, Nesta, and I just brought up Roberts. I like Roberts a lot, and so talked about that's the line right there. I like Keandre, man. I like Keandre a lot. The dude has a lot of heart, and even though he's undersized. I hate that he's undersized, but to me, he's a missile. He's a missile, and he's a smart player. I like him a lot. He actually, why I like him on the field because it seems like he's one of the few guys that actually care. Everybody may care out there, but optics says a lot. Like the way Bubba Bolden jogs and loafs out there doesn't look like he cares. I don't care what he said in the press conference today or was it yesterday. You're doing your job when coaches aren't, got a scheme around you and aren't throwing your way. I wish,
Nah,
I could make more plays that way.
Nobody's scheming around you, buddy.
I don't see it that way. You said it. I thought it. I don't see it that way. It's just really disappointing because that guy is probably one of the most talented safeties on the team. Physically, the guy's really, really fast, has the build, and when he's on, he's on. We saw the first half last season; he was on. Then he kind of took a dip somewhere in there. I don't know what happened there, but Keontae at linebacker and the other linebacker, I'll bring up a guy that hasn't been playing, and he's not going to play. But Chase Smith, man, that dude was making all types of noise, and he's probably a guy that could play striker, and linebacker between there. We're not going to see him, but if you're asking me who I would play, I like him.
Yeah.
Um, I need to see Gill at striker.
100%.
I need to see Gill at striker. He was probably our second best defender last year, behind Jalen Phillips, all right, or best defender. That's a good barroom argument to have. And so I like to see him. I am a fan of Amari Carter, and I think that him not so much being out of position. I don't know what to call it with him. I think at this point it's probably mental, and I probably have a soft spot for him because I've spoken to him a few times, wrote a nice article on him. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. He's a humble kid, but he's probably not the best striker on the team. Safeties, I'm with Vish. Give me the two young guys. All right. Tay, mix him in there. And in the corners, we talked about Stevenson, and then of course Couch. Dunson, okay, cool. Throw him in there as a guy that'll in and out. But I want to see Blades, man. Okay. Just because again, his heart. Okay. If you're gonna make errors at 100 miles an hour, I'd rather see that than anything else.
Well,
And
I think he has a sports hernia. That's why he's not playing.
I thought I've seen him on the field of special teams this year. He's hurt now.
Yeah. He was on the field for a couple games, but he
played a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been out. He's been out for a couple weeks because of a sports hernia. That's why he's not playing.
Oh, okay. Wasn't aware of that.
I'm sure he would play more.
Yeah, on Bolden, I feel like this is a guy that probably shouldn't have come back. I think he came back. I think this team had aspirations for being competitive, like at the national level, and and that's why he came back. And obviously that's not the case. We stink, and so I think he's checked out. Frankly, like this whole thing about them game planning around him.
That's a good word. That's a good way to put it. I think he's checked out. I think
because I think he definitely would have been drafted if he had gone pro. Not like in the first round or anything, but he would have been drafted. And he'd probably have made an NFL team. He came back, not because he was really going to necessarily improve his draft stock, because he thought we could do something. Yeah. And those are the types of players that once the season goes off the rails, like they're thinking, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to do anything to damage my NFL chances. And I think he probably.
My thing is, you're playing so bad, okay? You're messing up your tape. You know what I'm saying? Just stop playing. If you're thinking, and this is all okay, because I don't know him, I'm not in the locker room, I don't talk to coaches, but let's say that's what it is, right? Stop playing, go ahead, and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and sit out the rest. Prepare for the draft now. Just do that because you're losing money right now. That's why I would see if I'm a scout, or even worse, you got to show effort on tape as well. And if scouts are gonna see or coaches are gonna see, this is what the guy plays like when things go rough. You're damaging yourself, dude. So I don't know.
I think he may still have an opportunity because, like you said, Mike, just based off of raw talent and size and speed, I think he's got that. He's an NFL size safety, and he's got the talent to play. He just needs the right attitude, the right mindset, and I think that's what happens with most of these guys. You guys hit it on the head. Most of these guys. Man, and I'm talking about the older guys. They've regressed, and not just like a little bit. Like a lot of these these older guys have regressed a lot, and I think it's more mental than physical. I mean, you look at how big and strong most of these guys are, and Vish, I think you nailed it. Like I don't think that they're slow. They're playing slow, and that's because of a lack of that fire, that want to be out there and compete because they played so poorly. So that's what happens. They lose interest
Mhm.
and being productive, and that, like you said, that ruins their draft chances. So
Right.
for me, I'm kind of with you guys on most of the spots. I think that here's the only thing I will say, that once Avante gets on the field, you ain't gonna get that kid off of the field. It's not going to happen. I think he might be, and just I'm just going off of what we saw in spring, and what at least was out there, because obviously we haven't seen him play this year, but they say that he is possibly the best athlete on the team, period, regardless of position. And
Mhm.
when you have that kid at the safety, I just think it's going to be hard to get him off the field. So at this point, I'm going to still say James Williams and Cam Kitchen, I think, deserve that spot to
Right.
start there. And a lot of people talked about how Brian Balaam might have not lost a spot either had he not gone down with an injury either. Because the kid is another missile. He likes to hit people, and he can cover back there as well. So, but yeah, I'll go with Williams and Kitchens all day. And then on the corners, on the outsides, I like to Corey Couch. I think he's regressed a little bit this year, right? He's not coming up with the big plays like we saw. He had a bad game last game. It is what it is. It happens. But I still think that he deserves a spot. And then Tyreke Stevenson. Here's the thing, right? Like, we don't talk a lot about him because people don't. Quarterbacks just don't throw his way much. They really don't, right?
What
So
Bubba said earlier is what Stevenson should have said.
yeah, pretty much, right? They don't throw, and when they throw his way, he lays people out, right? That's just
Yeah.
the bottom line. We've seen it. So I mean, I still like Tyreek over there. I do want to see a little bit more of Isaiah Dunson and Marcus Clark, because I think they're talented. I think they
Yeah.
can go out there and play. And of course, Blaze will be playing if he wasn't injured. So
Right.
that's neither here nor there. The problem I have is when you bring Gervin Hall down as a nickel corner,
Yeah,
that
man.
that shit needs to stop like
I
yesterday.
don't understand that at
All
all.
right,
Like
I
he's
don't
not
know
going to
what the
cover.
We
hell
have
they're.
so many better options.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I hate to say it, I'd rather have DJ Ivy playing covering the slot. You know what I mean, or covering
Well, at
the
least he's a
outside and moving to
corner.
corner.
Like
Right,
Yeah.
right.
when the hell did Gervin Hall become a corner? He was
I,
not like an undersized safety.
Josh
What
Downs
happened?
was mopping the floor with him at the
Well, I
slot.
mean, it's so obviously glaring that they're just like they put their best receiver in the slot and like, oh, this is
Yeah,
stealing,
Yeah, and it's
and that's what he
just
did.
so
And
obvious. I
it's
mean,
so obvious. That's
God.
my problem with this coaching staff. Like, things are out there. Like, if us three that know less about football than one of those guys on that coaching staff, right? At least we think, are seeing it in plain sight. Like, we're looking at it, and we're like, how is this guy playing the slot, covering Josh Downs, which is arguably the best wide receiver in the ACC? What the hell are you doing? Right? Like, what are you
well, I
doing?
mean, it all plays together, and I do think Manny Diaz, the defensive coordinator, is doing Manny Diaz, the head coach, a disservice. He's not. He's not. He's not. You can't do both those roles at the same time unless you're like an elite, experienced head coach, so that way you can
Hmm.
kind of delegate some of that. Like for someone that's learning to be a head coach to then say I'm going to also coach the defense, you can
Right.
see like the gaps there. And I mean that touchdown, I think it was their second one where they isolated Downs on Gervin. It was like third down. He ran
Yeah.
the cut in and then took it to the house. On that play, not only do we line up a safety one-on-one on their best receiver in the slot, which is the hardest place to cover him, but then we ran a slow stunt with our lineman and delayed linebacker blitz. Like the whole thing, we basically had six guys on the field that were not involved in the play and just opened the whole field up for them. It's just I don't understand what we're doing with some of this stuff.
Well,
It's just
and
it's really frustrating. Like I understand sometimes players don't make plays and stuff goes wrong. I'm struggling conceptually to see like how is this going to work.
yeah,
This receiver has been ripping up everyone, and you put a safety on him. And it's just like, there's
and
conceptually that's a bad idea. Like you
here's the
mentioned, Couch
thing.
had a bit of a tough game. Couch is
Yeah,
one of our best corners, if not our best corner. That's fine. You, you
right.
you live and die with that guy out there. I'm not dying with Gervin Hall trying to cover their best receiver. Like, what are we doing?
They're definitely not living with him either. So,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
the thing is, like, you kind of said it. And Mike, you mentioned this in the beginning of the show. Is the defense is right there, right? And they're right there. And here's my thing. I think that I'm starting to agree with you on that. Like, as I go through the show, because I'm thinking, like, Sam Howell, what's his best throw? It's a slant route, right? Everybody
Mm.
knows, right? He throws
Mm.
a slant. He throws a slant really well. He doesn't throw the ball outside particularly well. He doesn't throw the deep ball particularly well, right? He doesn't throw to the out. It's not his best thing. So why the hell was the middle of the field completely
Always
open
open.
the entire damn game? And that's not a player personnel thing. That's a coaching thing.
Yep.
That's a coaching thing. Like, line up your guys to be in the right position.
Yep.
If you know what happened against Virginia, right? Corey Flagg, you put him in the right position. What did he do? He dropped back. He read Armstrong and picked him off, right, on that slant. On that slant route. Those are the kind of things you got to do. I just don't understand how that. And then the middle, not only that, but then when they drop back, right, to cover these guys, and they left the middle of the field open, and Sam Howell said, "Here, let's ride." All day. So I mean, that's that. I kind of agree with you on that. Like, I don't think that that's a player thing. I think that that's more of a coaching thing, right? You got to put these kids in their proper position to play too. So I know we kind of went off the rails on that on the cornerback position, and then at linebacker, I'll ride with Keandre. I want to see more from him, but I'll ride with Keandre. And then, I mean, who I want to see, like you said, Mike, who I want to see is Chase Smith. And I'll be honest with you, I even want to see Deshaun Troutman a little bit. I like what I saw. I know it was against Central Connecticut State. I get that, but I still
popping heads, man.
He's popping everybody. He was popping everybody. And if he can tackle, put that son of a gun in there, all right? If he can tackle. So, but Chase Smith, yeah, definitely, I would love to see him. I'd like to see a little more Sam Brooks also. I think that he's he's a talented kid.
To me, I'm gonna tell you why I like him so much.
He might be the best linebacker from a talent athleticism perspective. Him and Chase Smith.
Yeah, 100%. The guy is, to me, a bigger version of Sean Spence, and I love Sean Spence. Yeah. You know, the guy was fast, instinctive, and he wants to put you on your ass. And they're from the West, so I mean, what more do you want from linebacker position? That's it. That's it.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
And that's where I was at too. Like we just need more athleticism on the defense. And especially at the linebacker position, like Jennings, Flagg, they're not the most athletic linebackers we have, and we're struggling to cover in space, and it's slow to get to the running back, and it's just,
I think Flagg is good on certain.
So just to be clear, I don't think these guys are terrible players at all. You got to mix in some of those speed packages too. You can't just because once the defense gets used to the linebackers and understands where their deficiencies are, they're going to exploit it, and that's what we're seeing, right? Like, it's not that Flagg is terrible. Mike called out he made that, or I think you should Jazz. He made that big interception against Virginia. Like, there are plays that Flagg needs to be out on the field, but it shouldn't be Flagg out on the field and you pull him off and put Jennings on. Like, that's like you got to rotate in some of the speed too. Especially like on third downs, if you're gonna send a blitzer, like, screw it, send Amari Carter or something. Like you got to get to the quarterback. Like, sending Jennings on a delayed blitz on third and long, like, he's never getting there. Like, what are you doing? Like sub the personnel then, right? I mean, so I guess my point on the speed aspect was, if you're just gonna run Jennings and Flagg out there all game, it's gonna be noticeable. Or if you mix in some of the other guys, there's a place for Flagg on this team, but it's not every down linebacker. And it's certainly like, and Jennings is like the third down linebacker. I have no idea what they're even doing there.
At this point, they got to cut his playing time. I mean, they should have done that a long time ago, but still, I don't know how he sees the field and we're a productive defense. So, and by the way, Gill needs to start as striker. I don't understand how the hell he wasn't the striker one, I guess you want to call it, from the beginning. He was the best defensive player last year. Maybe next to Jalen Phillips. I totally agree with you on that, Mike. So I definitely think so. The front four for me has to be in the middle. I like Harrison Hunt. I think he's our most talented defensive tackle. I love Harrison Hunt, and I think it's got to be him and LT. I've seen enough from LT right now to say that he might be the best defensive tackle. He's incredible, man. You need to have that kid in there. On the outside, I like Harvey. I think, like you said, Mike, he is maybe the best end from an athletic perspective and just size and build. I still think he's a little inconsistent. And I like what I've seen out of Roberts and Chance. So I might give them a shot to play opposite each other. So I like Chance on one end and I like Roberts on the other end. And then there's packages like with Corey Flagg that Harvey can come in and be really productive and do some really nice things. Deandre Johnson has been an absolute disappointment. I thought I was going to get more from him also. So he's been kind of non-existent. So I'm not sure what the hell happened there with him. So
I would say one thing in defense of kind of all of the players, it would be interesting to see what they look like in a functional environment. And by that I don't just mean the coaches. I mean all of the noise and the stuff around the program is not easy to work in. It's like if you're working at a company and they're doing layoffs. It's hard to focus. Like even if you know your job is safe, but you kind of when you're in that it's just a bad environment to learn and grow in. And I would love to see like absent that, even if it was with the same coaches, it's not a realistic situation to not have the toxicity with the current coaching staff. But how much better some of these kids would look too. It's really hard to focus. And it's hard to take instruction. Like if you know your boss might get fired, do you listen to him as much? Right. Just naturally, maybe not. Not everyone will, at least. So it's a tough environment, especially for the younger players to learn in. We got a lot of guys that are seeing their first playing time under bad circumstances. The team's record's 2-4. Often we've been behind most of these games. They're coming in, and these are not the you like to work in the young players when you're up in the second quarter. Maybe 10 points. All right, work them in for a series. Not
right.
We're down 20 points. Let's see what the kids got. Like it's just they're not being put in the best position to really show their stuff. So I do think some of them certainly are disappointing. You mentioned Deandre Johnson. I feel like there's a lot going on at this program right now that they don't have control over, and it's impossible for that to not affect at least some of them.
Well, so in the interest of time, I think we don't have to go through the whole entire offense as far as like who we start position by position, because I think, look, here's the thing for me, the offense is, I don't really care who the starter is, right? You're going to get a lot of guys in and out anyways. But for me, there's certain guys that should be getting more playing time than others. The only one I really want to focus on who your top 5 would be is that offensive line. But I'll start off with who I think skill-wise should be the guys that I think should be out there and get more playing time, right? Number one, obviously, it's Jalen Knight in time. I don't care what anybody says, right? Like, it's go time with Rooster. So obviously he should be the starter. But I did like what I saw out of Cody Brown. I've always been a fan of Cody Brown's, and I think if you get that Franklin some time, he's kind of like that guy. And they've been mentioning this a lot also, is that they want him to be like that Najee Davenport type. I actually think he's more athletic than Najee Davenport was when he was here. But I like all 3 of them. But you definitely got to roll with Rooster. And I think if you put him and Brashard Smith in the backfield and you get them to go out, I mean, it's over, right? Like, you can't cover both of those guys. And if you think Rooster's fast, let Brashard Smith get open on one of those little swing passes too. So I love to see both of them. I love Jacoby George. I think he needs to get a lot more playing time. Okay. Maybe you got to get X out there. I think Xavier Restrepo's a lot more talented and they're just not giving him the opportunity. We saw it against Alabama. We saw him smoke whoever it was that it was covering him. I don't even remember. I don't know if it was Job or not, but whoever it was, it wasn't Job, right? I think it was the opposite, the guy on the other side. I mean, you just see that he's a player. He's a football player, man. He goes out there and he gets the job done. Rambo has been good. Rambo hasn't been bad at all. I like Rambo. Rambo's doing well. And then Keyshawn Smith might be, I think Keyshawn Smith's the best wide receiver on this team. But the young guys, man, and I said this 6 months ago, Vish. Those young 3, man, Romello, Brashard, and Jacoby George need to be playing on this team. That's just the bottom line. I don't need to see any more Will Mallory either. I'm okay with not seeing him anymore.
Yeah, I'm done with Mallory. I agree. I'm not. I hate unless he fixes whatever's going on with it.
Yeah, I had high hopes for him because I think he is talented. If he can fix it, it's up here with him too, right, Mike? I mean,
100%, man.
It's got to be up here with him. I love Elijah Royal. I think he's a stud. I think he's going to be. He's going to be the next great tight end. And next year, Landon Morris, I think it is the Syracuse transfer.
Oh yeah.
I think he's going to end up at Miami. So that's going to be nice to see Landon Morris and Elijah Royal. You still got Hodges who actually got a lot of playing time last week.
Yeah,
okay?
He did. Brantley's a dog.
Khalil Brantley is another one. So you got to start getting these guys out there to start playing a little bit. But aside from those guys, I mean, obviously TVD's a quarterback. So I think you just got to get those guys in and get them rotated. Mike Harley has regressed a little bit, and so disappointed because I think that everybody was kind of looking for all the opposing defenses to really like kind of scheme around Mike Harley, and it just that hasn't been the case. But I'm not gonna knock the kid, although I did get on him for the dropsies that he's had this year. But I'm not gonna knock the kid. I feel like he's been here 17 years already, and He's given his all to this program, so it is what it is. But I think the young guys need to play. The offensive line, I think, is the biggest question mark for me. Is they're still trying to figure it out on the inside. Zion Nelson has been a little bit of a disappointment. I think that that whole talk about him being a first rounder, a top 10 pick. I don't know where the hell they came out with that, but he just hasn't been that guy. Jalen Rivers was the guy on that line.
Yeah.
It was Jalen Rivers, and then everybody else kind of trying to feed off of him. Jared Williams is apparently he's playing well. I think he does certain things well. I don't think he does everything well. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Right.
So my guys would probably be, I guess you got to stick with Zion on the left. My left tackle, Donaldson has been a complete disappointment.
Yeah, man.
So, I mean, it's
I think
it's so tough.
I think Navon's another one that I don't know that necessarily the scheme fits some of these players. Like he's a guy you want to power block with,
Right.
and he is completely lost in some of these. Like again, this is the system we're running, right? We're running a spread, so there's a different blocking scheme. He is lost. Like there was the one sack where I think it was Knighton missed the block, but like Donaldson slid over, Nelson didn't slide. They were completely lost, and the guy shot to the gap, and there's no way Knighton can make that block. I've been disappointed in Donaldson as well. I just feel like the scheme might not fit him. Like he's a guy you want to pull around and get his pop, right?
Right.
He's not a guy who's gonna like shuffle his feet well in a zone blocking scheme and kind of find the right guy and hit and redirect them. And that's kind of what our scheme is. So I feel like he's a bad fit. I agree with you. He probably needs to get rotated out if he's. He's a guy that when we had success with him, it was more in frankly the Eno system. Right. Where you were doing a little bit more pro style, where you kind of find your best linemen and run behind them, and that's where his power really comes into play. But we're more of a finesse blocking scheme, and there's no finesse in that, man. So
this is my question then, right? Because we're struggling at the offensive line, Mike. I mean, they go fishing in the transfer portal and try to get at least 2 or 3 starters on that line, right?
I mean, you would think so because I mean. Let's just say, like, if you kind of foreshadow and you kind of think about what this recruiting class may look like, it's probably not going to be. It's probably going to be very underwhelming. So you got to hit, on the portal. But yeah, a starter, 2, maybe 3, on that O line. I'm a huge fan of Jakai. I like him a lot.
He's played well.
He played well. Rivers, he'll be back next year. So those are 2 guys you can hang your hat on. Hopefully Zion comes back and he, he's a junior. He's got another year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So hopefully he comes back and, he builds on what was supposed to be a really, really good year. And, those other guys, we'll see. Jared Williams, he was supposed to be a guy that, you hung your hat on, played with King and, they had this thing together, but we never really got to see that play out. But that right there, man, I mean, football is never going to change. Football is always going to be one in the trenches, no matter how much the game has changed schematically from running the ball all the time to the spread. If you can't win in the trenches, you ain't winning nothing. Okay. I don't care what anybody says. That's why Bama's been good ever since the turn of the century, pretty much, or shortly after Miami USC did their thing. But it starts there. And if your O-line isn't as good as you want it to be or need it to be, then you got to get creative. I mean, that's what Lasky came here for. Supposedly his systems were good for underachieving O-lines and quarterbacks because you get the ball out quick. You could move your, shift the line, move the line left, right, move the pocket for a quarterback, whatever. But I don't know. We're not seeing that how we thought we would see it, but we definitely got to hit on the portal. And, as to the other guys, one of my favorite players on the team, man, was Will Mallory. So you can see how disappointed I am this year. His freshman year when he was here with Brevin, somebody said he has a higher ceiling than Brevin. And at the time I was like, no way. And then, I kind of changed my opinion as the years went on. And, I don't know if it's the pressure of being tight end number 1 or what, but it just sucks that he's not producing how we thought he could. And then, I mean, you mentioned the other guys. All those receivers can play. Just stick with the hottest one. I'm not a fan I love rotating guys, but not when one's got it going. Okay? If one's got it going, you ride it until it.
And I just realized I was muted. I'm all about I'm all about that too, man. Like, and on defense too, ride with your guys if they're hot.
Yeah.
If they get a sack, don't rotate them in the next
Nope.
series. Like, keep them in there. They need to get
Yep.
that momentum going. Same thing on
Yep.
offense for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It's just good to know we have that depth. And, it sucks the injuries suck at running back, 2 studs. But I'm excited with the 3 guys we have there. You got to mix in Brashard. Give me some direct snaps. Give me something. The guy's Tyreke Hill Jr. So give me something. He's got to be on the field. He's got to see to touch the ball at minimum of 5 times a game.
I agree.
Give me him on the direct snap. Something. Get creative with it. But yeah, man, NC State. I don't know what to expect. Again, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. This is a team that they lost to. I had it written down here. Who the hell did they lose to?
They lost to Mississippi State by 2
Mississippi
touchdowns.
State. They scored 10 points in that game. All right. They ran for 34 yards as a team. And, their leading rusher. They got a lot of guys coming back that played Miami last year, namely Zonovan Knight. I think he ran back that kick. Emeka Emizi, if I pronounce it right, he was one of their better receivers. And Person, another running back. So they have a dual threat.
And they have one of the best offensive linemen in the country too. He will probably go top 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that team is balanced. As a team, they've thrown for 1,500 yards and they're 10 shy of 1,000 on the ground. So Miami's got to come with it, dude.
This is the best offensive line that this defense is going to see. That the Miami Hurricanes defense is going to see, because that's a big time offensive line. You put that offensive line on Alabama, and they do exactly the same, if not better. Alabama. That's how good I think that offensive line is. So, and this is the problem. This is the problem with our defense, is that we're not creative. We don't mix it up and do exotic things on defense, right? We kind of try to hang our hat on certain packages. Hey, this is what we're going to do, and they're going to have to mix it up. And the same goes for the offense, right? Like, this is the best defense that TVD is probably going to ever that TVD is going to see this season, right? And we don't count Bama because he didn't play against Bama, but he did, but towards the end. So, like, this is the best defense he's going to see. Like, if he thought that Virginia and North Carolina were multiple and exotic, like he hasn't seen anything yet, because NC State's got the goods on defense.
Yeah, they're going to come with it. We got nothing to lose, man. Throw in the kitchen sink.
Yep. And I'd also say, like, Mike hit this on the head. They're good. They're solid. They're going to execute well. And frankly, we don't do that. So we got to do explosive plays, like you said, direct snaps. Like you got to hit those You got to get some turnovers. You got to hit explosive plays. That's how you're going to win this game, because we have playmakers. That's one thing we still have, and that can equalize. If we're trying to put together like 7-minute, 15-play drives, we're going to lose. Like, we're not going to do that consistently as well as they are. But we can hit them with big chunk plays and big plays and score points in bunches, and that's how we can win this game.
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be very similar to last year's game. So, with that being said, we can wrap it up by. I mean, if you guys want to kind of give a prediction on the game on Saturday, go ahead. If you want to start, Vish, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're going to lose, to be honest. The spread was like NC State by 3. I think they'll cover more than that. I'm not. I just don't trust our defense at all.
I thought it was 6.5.
Last I saw was 3. It actually opened at Miami -2. Unbelievably.
Oh, wow.
And then it moved. So maybe it continued to move. Because I checked it last night and it was 3. But it might maybe it's moved to 6 at this point, because who the hell would bet on Miami and take minus the points? But I just don't trust our defense. Even the second half against North Carolina, when the defense played better, they still gave up 2 touchdowns. And so that's going to put a lot on the offense to have to drive against a good defense. And I don't think we can do that consistently enough to win this game.
We all mentioned it at some point throughout the show, how the defense seems to be right there. Like, that touchdown doesn't happen if James Williams. I'm not saying North Carolina doesn't score on that drive, but at least they're not scoring on that play if, a freshman doesn't make a freshman mistake and wraps up, right? And so, I mean, I do think it's going to be a close game, because everybody thought we were going to get blown out last week. Well, let me not say everybody, but a lot of people that I interact with thought that we were getting blown out last week. And I'm thinking, no, if we lose, it's going to be a close game. And if we win, it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be the same thing here. I think a lot of young guys are going to be hyped to be playing at night, black uniforms, just like NC State was last year. So that's going to play a factor. And to you guys' point about explosive plays, that has something with the young team. Like, they will burst, like they'll live off that big play. Like, oh my God, especially with all the playmakers we got, that momentum. And then it could be the same way the other way around. It's such a seesaw. Like, it's just how they're going to ride the wave, and you don't know, man. But I do think it's going to be an exciting game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, like I said, very very similar to last year's game where
Hmm.
they're just gonna go blow for blow,
Yeah,
for quite a while. I think that if Miami if Miami keeps it close at some point the ball's got to bounce their way,
right.
and they don't make
Well, the
a
thing is, when you
mistake
get
down the
into
line.
these toss-up games, you win about half of them. They're 1 and 2, so
Right.
yeah. Ideally, the next one bounces
Yeah.
their way, but the goal is
Yeah.
to avoid these games. That's how you
Of
become
course,
good.
Yeah.
absolutely. I just don't think
So,
they avoided this game, though. I don't think they avoided
No.
this game. I can see like a 38-31 score, right? Like either Miami or NC State wins at 38-31, something like that, or like 41-34, like by a touchdown, right? Like someone at the end needs to make a play to score a touchdown, or someone scores a touchdown at the end to kind of win it. So like that's the way I see it. I don't think it's going to come down to another field goal, or anything like that. I think that at this point Miami's just going to have to let it loose. They're just going to have to go all
Yeah.
out and pull out all the stops against them because it doesn't get any easier. Because I think next up you've got I don't know if it's the next game, but you got Pitt and Kenny Pickett is
it is
Kenny
Pitt.
Pickett. Yeah, you got Kenny Pickett and possibly the best quarterback in the country behind maybe a guy like Matt Corral or something like that. So it doesn't get any easier. So you got to pull out
Yeah,
all the stops and try to get a W.
this team is staring 2-6 in the face if they don't play better. Because the next two
100%.
games are the two best teams left on the schedule. So
Right. So we'll see. We'll see. It'll be fun. Hopefully we'll see you guys out there. Mike, will you be out there on Saturday for your birthday? I think Mike froze. You froze at a very
he's pensive.
that's a
He's,
nice
he's,
that's a nice one to freeze
if you're
at,
gonna
man.
freeze, that is the right
That's
way
the
to
way to
freeze.
freeze right there. Well, I think Mike's we
He
saw
doesn't
you
know we're
froze.
talking about it freezing, but he did tell us he froze.
There we go.
There we go,
Now there
Mike.
he's back. Hey.
Mike, are you gonna be out there on Saturday?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's your birthday,
It's my
man. Don't do that
birthday. I
to
don't have
yourself.
any plan. I want to. I just don't know what the plans are going to be like. I don't know what's going on,
Don't
who's
do
going to be
that to
planning
yourself,
what,
Mike. Don't do
whatever.
that for your
But
birthday, man. Don't do it.
I'm a sucker for punishment, dude.
I know.
I'm a
We're
sucker
masochists.
for.
We're masochists
Yeah.
over here.
Maybe we'll win one for you. Get that first
Hey,
P5 win
hey,
since
I
like
would
last
love it,
year.
man.
So
I'll definitely have a reason to go out and get hammered, later on. So,
Hell yeah,
but
it's a
either
nice
way,
celebration.
either way, you'll have that reason. So let's hope it's
I
worth it.
am.
Man.
That's very true. You're right. Either
Well,
way, you know what? If we win, I'll celebrate, and if we lose, they're gonna drive me to drink. So you're right.
yeah. So either way, it's a win-win. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you guys for coming out. Hopefully, we'll see all of us will see each other on Saturday. But Vish, always a pleasure, man. Thank you for doing
Yep.
this again, for producing. You
Yep.
did a kick-ass job. Mike, always a pleasure coming in and chopping it up with you and talking some Canes, man. You're always welcome on here. Let them know where they can find you.
Thanks, man. And thanks for having me on, Vish. Again, appreciate it. Um, right there, man. At @UM_radio _ Mike on Twitter. And working on some writing actually on excuse me, working on an article right now for State of the U. I'll probably try to have it before kickoff on Friday. And so that's it. Just doing the content right there, and looking to get back on the airwaves soon. I'm working on something, man. So when I do, Jazz, Vish, you guys need to call in.
Awesome, man. We
Yeah, we'll
appreciate
do.
that for sure. Make sure you guys like the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Also, we're on the YouTube network as well. Make sure you subscribe to both. Give us a thumbs up. Support us. We appreciate all the love. And again, thank you. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. And go Canes. Hopefully, they pull this one out. See you guys later, man. Have a
Yeah,
good
guys.
one.